All right, team, we have Emma here on the line with us. I'll introduce myself real quick. My name is Will. I am going to be our representative from our HR ops team. And Emma from UKG is going to be here to help and discuss the time and labor functionality here in UKG today. Just as for your reference, we're recording this session today. It'll be available for you to view at a later date, or for those who can't participate, you'll be able to see those things. We'll be taking notes, requests, questions, everything you guys need to feel comfortable with how this works, and help ensure you are able to have that information be successful in your area's work. So without any further ado, we'll give a very silent round of applause for Emma, who's going to be leading us today.
Thank you, William. Yeah, so I may have not met some of you already. I know I've joined a couple of these calls, but I know we get new people joining each time. So I am the consultant who has configured the timekeeping system for you all in UKG. So any questions that you guys have, I just want to make sure that we get through those today as much as we can. I know that your HR team is fielding a lot of those questions, but I think it'd be good to just kind of let you guys ask questions as we go along. If we don't have too many, there are some other things that I want to show you in the system, but I just got off a call with some of the other companies' managers, and I think it was actually very beneficial to just allow people to ask the questions that they've had, and we can, kind of address some maybe reoccurring issues for you guys, or at least bring those to light here as a group. So, with that being said, does anybody have anything that they want to start off with? Kelsey, yes, I just saw that come through. So that's actually something that we discussed on the last call as well. So we will make sure that that is added appropriately for you to be able to apply that to the timesheet and then reflect in the attendance as well. You all feel free to use the raise your hand feature in here, or just come off mute and ask your questions as well. Or if the chat is better for you, any method works for me. Okay. Well, if there aren't any other questions right now, I will kind of go through some of the other things that we talked about with the other group. Maybe that'll spark some inspiration for you guys to get some questions asked and answered. So, one thing I wanted to go through is some of the reporting functionality that you guys have access to. I will say, if you do not have access to anything that I am showing you today and you feel that you should, please go ahead and let us know. We're kind of noting down those access adjustments that we need to make, and we'll get you guys set up properly if we need to make any adjustments. So with that being said, let me share my screen here. All right, can you all see my screen? Awesome. All right. So, when you're in Dimensions, you will have your main menu up in the top left-hand corner, and then you all should have access to the data view and reports. Um, Under that, you'll have your data view library and your report library. So I'm going to start off by going into the data views. One that I wanted to show here is the pay period review. So let's open up this data view. Um, this was something that was requested by the other group as well, being able to view how many hours an employee has actually worked versus how many hours they were scheduled for the selected time frame in this data view. So just wanted to call that out. You see that here, the total scheduled hours column and then the total actual hours column. So that total actual hours is going to be any hours that they have worked within this specified time frame. And the way that you can change this time frame is just this drop down up here where it says current pay period. That's what it's going to default to. But if you click the calendar icon here, you can change that to previous pay period. You can change it to current week if that is more beneficial. I know one thing that we talked about with the other group was using current week as a way for us to identify maybe some people who are approaching overtime within this current week and things along those lines. Being able to adjust their schedule if need be, so you can actually see how many hours that they are scheduled for and so on. So um, that's one item I wanted to call out. The other thing about this data view that I think is really nice is you guys can use it as a way to kind of check your time cards, clean up your time cards for your employees if you need to. So you've got your column with the missed in punch, the missed out punch, and unexcused absences. Um, so you can utilize this. It's going to provide a counter. So if you see in the unexcused absence column, there's a couple of ones there. That's letting us know that within this specified time frame, they have a single unexcused absence. Let's see if we can find anybody with more. So there you can see there are people with maybe 4 or 3. It's going to just count those for you. So you can view that. And then from here as well, there's a couple of other things that we can do. So let's say you wanted to use this on a daily basis to review everybody's time card from yesterday, then we can switch this time frame to yesterday. You can review your employees' time cards, clean those up, um, and then you can also approve them from here as well. So to do that, let's just say I've gone through and I've reviewed everybody's time card already. I'm ready to approve it for yesterday. I can select all and then use this approval drop down here to approve the time card. And whenever you hit approve time card from a data view, it's going to approve that time card for the time frame that you have selected. So right now, this would be approving their time cards for yesterday. Another thing that we can do here is, let's say I need to go review these employees who have, missed out punches. So you can select one employee, hold down shift and select the employee that's maybe at the end of that list, and it'll give you everybody in between. And then from here, you can right click, go to more actions, and we can actually pull up these employees' time cards. So an easy way for you to identify, okay, these are all of my people with missed out punches. Let's rectify this, right? And you can toggle through their time cards up here at the top using these arrows. And then you can go in and just fix those and save it once you're done. So data views are super interactive. They allow you to kind of get some other things done rather than your traditional report where you would export that from the system and then come back into the system and make your adjustments there. I think this makes it a little bit easier when we're trying to um, you know fix missed punches or what's going on with these unexcused absences, that sort of thing. So that's one. Another that we looked at with the last group as well is employee overtime hours. So I've gone ahead and created a data view for you guys that shows your employees' overtime hours. Um, so from this conversation, we also determined that it may be beneficial to have, a data view that just has employees' regular hours that they've already worked for, this current week, and then that's a way to help you guys identify maybe who is approaching overtime. Um, so I'm going to put that in place as well for you guys.
Kelsey had a question about, can you export this as a report as well?
Yes, you can. So if you hit share from here and hit export, it will export into I can't remember if it's XSML or the CSV format. Let's just see here. Yep, so it'll export to CSV for you, and it'll have all this information. Any other questions around data views or, reports that you all would like to see, think would be beneficial for you guys?
Kelsey also listed a couple of things we can walk through if you don't mind. Just basic scheduling, editing a time punch, and approving a time card. All those are available in the chat for you to be able to see.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. So let's go to scheduling first. So you'll access the schedule planner through your main menu and then expand this scheduling option here and go to schedule planner. From here, there's a lot of ways to get a schedule assigned to somebody. Um, I think probably the best way, especially for somebody who has a consistent schedule, whether it's Monday through Friday or if it's Tuesday through Sunday or whatever it may be, um, we can add a schedule pattern. So let's say for this employee here, or actually let's just do Aaron Williams up at the, or William Aaron up at the top. So um, we can right click on this employee and that'll bring up this box here. And then you just have the schedule pattern option and it'll bring this up. So what you can do here then is if they, like I said, if they work, let's just say, see what shift templates we have. All right, let's say they work an 8 to 6, Monday through Friday. So you'll select your shift template and your cursor turns into that plus button, and then you just click each box that you want to apply that shift to. This will then go on to this employee schedule for the foreseeable future. That's what this end date forever is. If you know that, in a couple months they're going to switch schedules, you can do a specify end date here and select what that end date would be. Um, so you can make those adjustments there as needed. And let's say that this employee, actually they work their first week, so let's say they alternate weeks. So the first week they actually work Monday through Thursday, and then the second week they work Tuesday through Friday. And they constantly switch back and forth between that. So you can add that second week here with the separate pattern, leave it as forever for the end date, and then this schedule will be applied in this pattern for the foreseeable future as well. So it's a couple of different options here with the schedule pattern. And then let's say you needed to delete something. So that's when you would click this delete button, hit apply, and then your mouse turns into that, plus sign again, and we can go in here and delete anything at this point. You also have the ability to apply the same schedule pattern to multiple employees at once. So you don't have to go in um, and assign the schedule to everybody one by one as long as they're working the same schedule. So let's say that William and Ashton and Christopher were actually all going to work that same schedule. So you would just select your employees that you want to add that to, and then again, right click on one of their names, and it'll tell you now that you have 3 employees selected. And then you can hit schedule pattern and then go apply that pattern to those employees that you've selected. So you don't have to do it one by one. Couple other things that we can do with scheduling. So let's say, this employee already has a schedule, but tomorrow they're actually going to work at a different location, or in a different job. So what you can do is right click on that schedule for that day to edit it. Click edit here. You can transfer the employee. Um, so let's say they were going to go work at a different location, like a different Amazon location. We'll walk you through the business structure. Say that they're going to go work in Atlanta for this day. Probably not super likely, but um, you would be able to assign that location um, to that entire scheduled day. Anything else that you want to see from scheduling?
I think that should be good for scheduling. Team, is that how you guys usually are already using UKG when you're managing the schedules for your teams? Matt? I think we're good.
All right, awesome.
I think the next on the list was editing a time punch or time
Yes.
card.
Yeah, so let's go do that. So to access time cards, you'll go to your main menu, time, and then time cards. And that will just bring up everybody's time card that you have access to here. So let's say I needed to, add a punch. If you just click in the cell, you should have the ability to add the punch there. Um, I'm not actually going to do this since we're in your guys' production tenant. I don't want to clock out for this employee for today. Um, but you should just be able to go in there, click and type in, whatever the time may be. One thing I want to call out, I see a lot of people actually putting in, like 6 semicolon 52 a.m. Um, this system is based off of military time. So if you just input 6:52, you don't even have to add the semicolon. It'll automatically change it to the format that you see here. Same thing for, 5 p.m. If you did, 1700, that would automatically input 5 p.m. for you on the time card. The other option too is if you're not necessarily a military time person like myself, you can just go ahead and put 5p and hit enter, and that will automatically change it to the proper format as well, or 5:15p. So I just think that saves a little bit of time, rather than trying to do the semicolon and then the space and then the capital P and M. So wanted to call that out. And then if you needed to edit a punch that was already on the time card, not just add a punch for the employee, same thing, you would just click on that punch and then you can go in there and adjust that time if you need to.
Question for you. Is it time stamped by who did it and when it was changed?
It is, yes. So you have the audit tab down here, kind of towards the bottom right. So if you pull up that audit, it'll actually show you whoever the user was. So if it's the employee, that's just telling you that it came in from them punching in. Then if there was, manager edits on this time card, you would see the manager's name under user. And then this audit date is telling you at what time that edit was actually made. And then over on the left-hand side is, what punt or I'm sorry, what edit that actually applied to as far as the date and time goes.
Is there a time limit on being able to like retroactively edit a punch in or punch out for an employee?
As long as the time card is not approved by another manager or signed off by payroll, they'll have access to go back and edit that. So typically, if you're editing it before the end of the pay period, you should be, um, or I'm sorry, I think you guys typically do like noon on Mondays is when they want you to have everything approved.
That's
Um,
correct.
okay, yep. So just as long as you're getting it in before then, there's no other restrictions on that. Any other questions about time card, what we can do on the time card, or how to do something on the time card?
We got a question. It says, what does the message punch location is unverified mean? And how accurate is the location provided by the geofence function?
Yeah, so the punch location is unverified. Is the system telling you that basically they've punched outside of a geofencing location? Right now we have geofencing locations in dimensions, but we're not actually fully set up to utilize geofencing yet. So once that happens, and that should be turned on this afternoon, actually, um, you should see those comments going away because we're not actually going to allow employees to punch outside of the geofencing.
How accurate would you say is the location provided by that function?
It's pretty accurate. I've tested with customers where it's like, 5 feet from where I was just standing, I can't punch in anymore, but if I move 5 feet to the left, I can. So what we do is we set up a radius around a um, longitude and latitude location that's been provided by your team. And as long as they're within that radius, they should be able to clock in.
Can you walk us through approving a time card, what that looks like? And then
Yeah,
what if you approve a time card and then find out you actually have some edits you need to make?
yeah. So let me check one thing in your setup that I can't remember off the top of my head before I make this statement. Okay, so for um, for approving a time card, you can do that while you're on the time card for that specific employee. So if I was to hit approve here, um, I'm going to go ahead and do it because I can remove the approval so that way it's not messing with the manager's editing. But just so you guys can see what we're expecting here. So if I hit approve, it's going to change to this color that's kind of like grayed out. As a manager, you would not have access to edit it once the approval is there. But what you do have access to is the remove approval. So now, okay, I actually realize I need to make an adjustment on this time card before it truly is approved. You can just hit this remove approval button here and it'll take that approval off. Then you can go back in, make whatever edits you need to make, and then hit approve again. And real quick, since we were talking about audits already as well, you can see now these weren't here before, but you can see that the manager approval is also recorded in the audit. So it's giving you a manager approval for each day that was approved here. And then if we scroll down, we can see that it's been deleted since I deleted that. And then this user, the service is level 3, that's me. So you can see who's making that adjustment there as well. Then if we wanted to approve time cards on a more mass level, that would be from the data view that I was showing you all earlier. You'd be able to select your employees, hit that approval drop down, and approve the time card. All right, I see this next question that just came in. Is there a way to view time off request for direct reports in a calendar view? So I'm going to ask you to elaborate on that a little bit. So are you wanting to go to your calendar and see your employees' time off request? I think that was Michael that asked that question.
You can just unmute yourself and ask the question if you like.
Yeah, I guess like if we're planning out scheduling, is there a way to just see like in a calendar view, like of this month on these days, who will I have that will be out? Or is that best done in timesheets? Like how far of a look forward can we get?
Yeah, so actually, when you're in the schedule planner, if an employee has approved or submitted time off, you will see that on the schedule itself. So let's go through here and see if we can find anybody just so we can see what that looks like. Okay, here are a couple of good ones. So, um, if you see PTO here, this is color coordinated to try to give you like visual cues of what's happening. So if it is green, that's usually going to be some kind of pay code edit, which is what PTO technically would be once it's approved. It's a pay code edit to the time card that's automatically pushed over. So you can see your PTO here that has been submitted and approved for the current schedule period, which is what we have assigned here. Now, if you wanted to see the next, let me see, let's just do a date range here. So let's say we want to see like all of August. You can select your custom date range and hit apply. And then you would also be able to click through here and this is taking a minute to load. There we go. Um, view what PTO has been placed here as well. I will say this is still on a weekly basis. So you do have to click through here and look at your different weeks when you are looking at the schedule planner. So let me look into if we can set up a manager calendar that would show all employees' PTO requests. So let me take that note down. Okay. All right, I will look into that and get back to you guys on more of a monthly calendar view. Kelsey, you asked, can managers enter PTO for their employees directly on the timesheet? Yes, you can. There's a couple of different ways that you can add PTO for your employees. So one of them is actually done here through the schedule planner. So if I right click um, on this day or whatever day that I want to enter PTO for my employee, you actually have this enter time off option here when you right click on that cell, and you would be able to submit a PTO request on their behalf, and it would be auto approved at that point since you are the manager that is submitting that, and who would essentially approve it as well. So assuming that you're going in here and adding it, the system's assuming that you are approving this. Um, should you be entering this on behalf of an employee who's maybe not your direct report and you are not the person that would be approving it, you can just uncheck this box and that would still go to their direct reports manager.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So that's one way. And then the other way is if you go to your employee's time card, and it would just be a pay code edit. So in this pay code column, use your drop down PTO and then enter the amount of hours.
I do want to specify from like the payroll side that it's very helpful to have the actual number of hours. If you put a full day or a half day, sometimes the system doesn't really know what that is for that employee, especially since sometimes there's 10-hour schedules, 8-hour schedules. So if you wouldn't mind just putting the number of hours that they take PTO that day, that'll be helpful for us.
Yeah, that's a great call out. And just to elaborate that on that a little bit, the reason why it may come through as like 0 hours or something like that is because if the employee isn't scheduled on that day and you ask the system to use a full or half day, it doesn't know what that means because they're not scheduled. So I think best practice is just to always enter the amount of hours. So yeah, good call out.
Anybody else have any other questions?
Yeah, anything else that you want to see while you have me?
For the time card approvals, like if they were getting ready to approve a time card, they would just, where would they go for that?
Yeah, so on a mass level, you can use the data view.
Okay. And then individually, just the timesheet.
Yes, yep. And I really do think the pay period review data view is going to be a friend to you guys. So get comfortable and get familiar with that. Um, you can just come in here and select and then do your approval from here.
Thank you.
hmm All right, I'm just going over my notes from the last call here to see if it would um, be beneficial to go through anything else with the group. One question that was asked in the last call that I think I want to go through with you guys real quick is a couple of things with the report library. So if you go in here um, and there's a report that you find that you really like and you just know that you're going to want it, let's say um, every week, at the end of the week or something along those lines, you can schedule reports to be automatically sent from the system to your email. So, what you would do is in the report library, there's reporting jobs up in the top left hand corner here. So, you would select that. And then from here, you can select schedule report. Then what this allows you to do is pick whatever report you are wanting to schedule. So let's say we wanted to run an exceptions report, you know, at the end of every week. So you would select that exceptions report, and then you can name it here. Select your time frame that you want the report to run for each time it's sent to you. So if that is, you know, if it's at the end of the week, you would probably want to select something like current week or last 7 days. Um, so I'll go ahead and select current week. You can adjust your hyperfind here. It will default to all home, which would be all of your employees, but you can use this hyperfind to select a subgroup of employees to run this report on if you need to as well. And then you can come in here and select your exceptions types. So let's say, you know, I wanted to always see who was early out, who was late in, and any of my missed punches. There's obviously a ton of other ones that you can select from here, but those are, I would say these are pretty typical ones that, you know, we want to see reporting on. So you would hit apply. You can select your output format, which would either be PDF or the Excel version. And then when it's scheduled, you do have the option to schedule it for just a one-time run. So if you just know that, you know, somebody's going to need this at a certain time, you know, tomorrow, you can schedule it to run for just one time, or you can do the reoccurring. Um, So you would go into reoccurrence here with this calendar icon, and then you can change this by week. Select what day you want it to run on. So let's just say we want it to run on Fridays only. So you'd select Friday, and then you have your start time here. So this would be actually whatever time you want the report to be sent to you. So if that's, you know, 4 p.m., 5 p.m. on a Friday, whatever it may be, you can change that there. And then your end date, you can select an end date if you know that, you know, I only need this report for the next month or so to be sent to me. So you can select that end date. Or if you leave it as forever, it'll just continue to send you this report on Friday at whatever time you've selected until you come in here and quit this scheduling job. So um, that would be how you do that. And then you would, under report recipients, this is where you would put your email address that you want it to go to, whether it's yourself, whether it's a few people on your team. You can put multiple in here. You just want to separate that with a comma. And then you'll want to select send as email attachment.
Very cool. So like a GM, for example, could go in there and then select that report to go out to all of the other managers in the building or at the facility so that they could see any exceptions.
Yes, exactly.
That's great.
Awesome. All right. And then just want to call out too with reports, you know, these are very different from the data views, whereas data views are, you know, kind of a little bit more real-time information that you can update, refresh, and see that change immediately. And then obviously you can do a little bit more with the data views as far as being able to approve time cards or go to the time card directly from there and that sort of thing. And then your reports are just your standard, you know, exporting that info out of the system kind of reports. Um, if there are other reports that you guys feel like you need that you don't currently have access to or you feel are missing from the system, please let us know. Um, I know that, you know, maybe things come up and you're like, oh yeah, I forgot we had this report in, you know, Paylocity and it would be really nice to have in Dimensions and maybe we haven't gotten there yet. So if that's the case, just let us know and we'll see what we can, you know, come up with that would work for you guys.
Kelsey, are you guys aware of how to view the PTO balance of current employees?
No, that would be a great thing for us to go over in the call. Thank you, Will.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. So let's do that. Let's start with the data view here. So we do have a couple of data views that are for accruals specifically, which would be your PTO balances. So if you go to accrual details basic, I think this one's just a little bit easier to read rather than the full, but you've got each accrual code that's applied to your employee. So some have the VTO applied as well. So you've got your PTO here, and it's telling you what their current balance is. Um, if they have planned take, like this is a good example here. Let's use this one. Um, so taken to date will tell you how many hours that they've actually taken to date, and that is based on a calendar year. Um, so they've taken, 16 hours of PTO up until today. Their current balance is 60 hours and 16 minutes. If they had any future time off requests that have been approved, those would be in planned takings here. And then you have your available balance as well. That's usually going to be the same as current balance unless there's planned takings. So available balance is current balance minus planned takings. Um, and that is because your available balance is like what is available to you now. And the current balance is like as of today, what have you actually utilized?
That makes sense. Thank you, Emma.
Yeah, no problem. And then same thing, you can export any data view. So if you needed to get this into Excel format, you would be able to do that from here as well. And then here's a good example of that planned takings that I was talking about. So we've got their current balance of 40, but we've got 11 hours and 36 minutes in planned taking. So it's reducing their available balance by that amount here. So all right, anything else that you guys want to see? Much quieter group compared to the last one.
I was just about to say the same thing. All right, well then, I would say if there are no further questions, we can end the session. We'll have this video sent out and it'll be available to you guys here shortly for your reference or for anybody who couldn't make it to the meeting today. Uh, Emma, thank you so much for your time, taking time to show our team how to make these edits. I know it's crucial to their jobs. And this transition has been a bit crazy for everybody. So having any extra additional training has been fantastic. So thank you so much for taking time for us.
Yeah, absolutely. I am always happy to help and I appreciate your guys' time and attention. And if anything else comes up, just let your HR team know. We're kind of passing info back and forth. And I've definitely got some questions to get answered and other things to do that I will let your HR team know when those are done so we can communicate some things out to the rest of the team as well. But yeah, let me know if anything else comes up.
All right, we'll do that. Thank you so much, Emma. Thanks
All
everybody
right.
for being here.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day.